Welcome back to the SMT Media Network. We're going to be discussing this topic that LeBron and Steve Nash were talking about on the Mind the Game podcast. The question came in from an X post or question, just from some random person. The question to LeBron and Steve Nash for the podcast was, why is ring culture so much more prevalent in today's game? That question needs to be framed in a couple of things. So obviously you need to address ring culture, all right? And then you need to address prevalent in today's game because there's a time element to this. So I'm going to just answer the first part of that, right? Ring culture, what is this? This is the obsession with winning championships, which in my opinion is the primary outcome, mission, and objective for every single NBA player, every single NBA season. And the second element to this is prevalent in today's game. It is not just prevalent in today's game. It has been prevalent since the beginning of time. Because when you play to win the game. And you play to keep winning games until you have won the last game. That is the sole purpose of playing every single time a player goes onto the court. When you played basketball, when you played chess, when you went bowling, when I played basketball and football and wrestled and, softball and baseball and table tennis and pool, every single thing involving competition, you play to win. Now, depending on how fierce of a competitor you are, it may become more demonstrative, characterized in your behaviors. And some people say things like, you're too competitive. Good. It's a beautiful thing. It's good. Because the other version of being uncompetitive or playing to lose makes no sense. That's the other version. So LeBron, when asked this question by Steve Nash, responded by saying, I don't know why ring culture is so much more prevalent in today's game. He said, I don't know. That response in and of itself tells you are about to get a load of shit from LeBron. He went on to describe and quote, why is it the end-all be-all in discussing championships? He said things like, quote, you can't be great without having a ring, or you can't be great without having multiple rings. He named NBA basketball players such as Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, and then he also threw a jab at Steve Nash in front of his face. And he said, it's weird to me, describing this phenomena of ring culture. And then he went completely off the rails, talking about players in other sports like Barry Bonds in baseball and Dan Marino as a quarterback. I don't think LeBron understands what he's doing when he goes on to these podcast episodes and just has diarrhea of the mouth, trying to reform and reshape history. Naming Iverson and Barkley and Nash is nice the way you did that because it's the NBA. But there's levels of greatness, and those guys were great, and we talk about those guys all the time when we discuss greatness. We celebrate that Steve Nash had multiple MVPs and assist titles and made runs to the Western Conference Finals. We talk about Charles Barkley and how he was basically the second best player in the world without Michael Jordan being in the way. How he won an MVP and carried the Suns and led them and ultimately lost to Mike. And Barry Bonds, right? Like, why are we even going into that sport where you have, 30, 40 guys on a roster, where you have so much less control in the outcome of the game? Like, Barry Bonds had huge control because of his hitting and how special it was. By the way, Barry Bonds also was stealing like 40 bases a year, hitting 40 home runs a year before any of the claims of him doing any type of substance abuse for performance enhancement. Dan Marino, he's one player playing half the game on offense. What about the defense? What about the guys? It's so much not in his control. And he still took his team to the final game, the championship, lost. But why are you deflecting? Why do you continue to defame your own legacy, marring your own legacy with this foolishness, with this contamination of how people are supposed to view greatness? There's levels. Before you, it was Bill Russell. Before you, it was Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Julius Erving, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, viewed as the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bean Bryant, Tim Duncan, the greats of all time. Why do you do this? What separated those guys from everybody else is not just the fact that they were great players, but when they were in the greatest stage, they won. Like you did, LeBron. Like you did. You lost and you won, like most of the other guys. You're not different than any of those guys. Yes, there's levels of greatness, but you're like them. What the hell are you defaming yourself for? Continuing to do these stupid things. Being dismissive. They were talking about how it's dismissive of the great players who didn't win championships. It's not dismissive to say this guy was great but never won a chip. That's a fact. That's not dismissive. Doctors, lawyers, golfers, bowlers, police and fire academy, military, they all rank. I think what this all circles back to is competition. LeBron has never really liked to compete when things have gotten hard, when things have required more than he thought he could handle. When he struggles to keep up, he likes to move the goalpost. Like all those years when he shit on his teammates. The Cavs, the Heat, supporting cast. These are the things that he is not going to be able to remove from his history. The internet is undefeated. These things are never going to be able to be removed and expunged from the internet. You said all these things. And what it boils down to is you can't live with yourself and your career. You don't believe it's good enough. So you have to continue to move the goalpost. It is so sad to see him continue to go out like this. One of my favorite players of all time. To see him do these things over and over again. It's so belittling because he's uncomfortable with the results that he got on the court when he was in his physical prime and he could impact the game on both sides of the court. He's not satisfied with his outcomes, and he can't do anything about it except speak in front of these hot mics and lie to anybody who will listen to him speak. It's really sad.